Nah.
Or without the hashtag. What's the whole show about tonight?
Chocolate Johnny.
Oh, we've got a minute.
It's the wrong day to quit snorting Vyvanse. Let me tell you. That's what I'm saying.
Oh. Oh, we'll really start in just a few seconds here, but
but we're live.
Oh, is that live?
Oh, Bert.
Oh, Slammy.
You're getting better at this bit every week.
Yeah.
And we're live, everybody.
It's still not funny.
You'll be joining us for the next few seconds, but you walked into hashtag SPSM, the Suicide Prevention Social Media Chat. We are coasting into the last of our 5th season, if you can believe it. We've gone through stages and changes, right? The landslide will bring you down. What's her face? Stevie Nicks.
Coasting?
We're coasting. Well, sort of the way that an asteroid on fire
sailing. I think
into a big crater on the Earth.
Sailing, and asteroids aren't on fire. That's not how that works.
Or are they meteorites?
Oh boy.
The meteorite is what causes the light, and the meteor is what we perceive. It's a meteor. Sorry.
I like this metaphor because an asteroid also killed the dinosaurs.
It's happening.
An asteroid can become a meteor.
It's happening. Everybody, I'm at Doc Foreman. If you're joining us, the chances are you know that. I'm not an astronomer. I'm only your friendly neighborhood suicidologist. But we are going to be talking about and astrologer. We're going to be talking about fun and games, trying to get our Twitch channel up and going. So we're going to be talking about platform shifts that we have planned as we've been becoming increasingly clear. And we want to do a big shout out to @stackup.org. You'll see @GamingDaddio and @BettyPage, who are sort of in stream right now. You guys know they're SPSM alum, and they have totally reached out and said, call us anytime, we'll help you. And I tried to do it myself, which like all things that you try to do alone. I know, Doc Foreman hand. So if you did it, it would be pervy, Bart. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I encountered trying to do it alone, and what we think is coming, why the platform is different, how monetization differences are going to probably drive content production, a few things like that, and what we think this means for people who are using this content in mental health and healthcare and suicide prevention, or using this platform. And we want to really share our thoughts on that, because we've been really spending the last month or two becoming a lot clearer. But before I go any further, everybody say hello to Tony Wood. Tony, say hi to the people.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Wood. I'm the chair of the board of the American Association of Suicidology, suicidology.org. Joined today. Also, we have a conference coming up, which I might have mentioned a few times in the past. Probably the majority of you know that already. But if you haven't purchased your tickets, now's a good time.
And I'm not saying we're going to have a coordinated dinner or party, because it never works out that way. But like, if you're an SPSMer, come hang out. There'll be a fog machine. I'm bringing a fog machine. It's going to show up somewhere. I'm going to get us kicked out of the hotel. Everybody say hello to Dr. Bert Andrews.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. So excited to see everybody. I have to say that tonight's show is chocked full.
Sorry, I was saying hi to Twitter. Sorry, go ahead. I was excited to see Noreen. Keep going.
Can I go now?
Yeah, I was making a face. I didn't mean to make a
sound. Right? Is it all right if I can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish?
I don't think anything's ever stopped you from finishing, Bart.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Can I finish?
Can I finish?
And by the way, Twitter just booted me out for being a robot. We're 3 minutes into the show.
Because you are a robot. We're doing this. We're just going to do Can I Finish for an hour.
Well, let's be clear. Let's talk about Foreman's Twitter account mainly consists of automated tweets saying, I'm so excited that so-and-so is following me. And then occasionally, like every once in a while, then she gets on and she starts actually tweeting. And then, of course, Twitter's like, what the hell is going on?
What the heck? Russian
What
bot?
the hell is going on? So again, Dr. Bart Andrews, at Bart Andrews on Twitter. I work at a groovy little crisis agency in St. Louis, Missouri called Behavioral Health Response. Really excited about the show. We're going to learn about Twitch and other things that are very cool. And I think I can't wait because April is going to provide new platform education for all of us. We're going to get April splained.
That's a thing. That is a legit thing.
We will. Oh, we've all. Oh, look at our faces, Tony, Chris, and I. We've all been April splained before. That much is abundantly clear. For the guests who missed the pre-show, at several points this evening, April made us operationally define terms that we were using. I think that yes, and we're gonna hand it off to Chris Maxwell.
That was the best intro ever. Hey everybody, I'm Chris Maxwell. I'm the communications coordinator for the American Association of Suicidology. Like Tony mentioned, we have a conference coming up. It's technically April 18th through the 21st. There are two-day training sessions that start on that Tuesday and Wednesday. So the RRSR training and the psychological autopsy certification. So the 17th and 18th, those are pretty big deals, and we're really excited to offer those to everybody. One other thing I want to mention is that early registration, the discount for that ends on March 17th. So a week from today, the price will go up just a smidgen. So if you go to suicidology.org, you can check it out and register there.
Woo! Say that again.
Woo!
No, about where you register. Oh,
go to suicidology.org.
I just didn't tell like 3 dirty jokes, Chris, and that's my professional respect for the audience. Because
oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah, we'd hate to get demonetized on YouTube. I am really excited. We're going to be talking about that. So I'm really excited to talk about how shitty I am at social media because it's really funny. And I think all of the people in this room have had that experience of, like, I think I've had different speaking gigs individually with every single of our co-hosts. And usually at some point, a member of the audience goes, well, I'm not good at technology like you, right? You guys have all heard those things, correct?
No. Tony, have you heard that? No.
And I would say that Tony and Chris legitimately are good at technology. Like, they're good at these things that are fiddly. They're good adopters. They are phlegmatic. They're copers. They look up instructions and follow them. They're great. I am not that skillful and well-regulated, but, you know, I am talk about willingness being this really important skill for adopting these new technologies as you're becoming a mid-career professional. So I got to do it. So I thought that the thing to do this week in the middle of preparing to go to China and a bunch of other, and doing my taxes, and we were painting the house. And so I thought the thing that I would do would be to try to additionally learn a new, more complex social media platform that still isn't, I would say it's still mainstream like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter is mainstream. And so the user experience isn't really there yet. And I think it's like just around the corner. And so I started my Twitch. And by the way, if you go to spsmchat.com, you can get the link. We're at Twitch TV/SPSM chat. In case you guys want to go, if you're already on Twitch, we've got a channel now. I don't know what auto hosting is, but apparently we can have relationships with people and auto host each other or something. I'm not really solid about that. I'm hoping that stackup.org, who are going to be at the conference, and we're going to be jamming and learning Twitch more from Elvis and from Stephanie. But I thought I would try to use it myself. So of course I asked for a little bit of advice, and I also Googled things. Now, Bart, you Googled about what do you need to know about Twitch? Explain what happens when you do this bullshit.
I Googled everything. I Googled what is Twitch, and a wonderful article from LifeWire popped up, called Everything You Need to Know About Twitch. Some things that I learned about Twitch is that there are 2 million active content contributors on Twitch at this point in time. February 2018, that's when the last time we collected that data. And there's like 17 million daily users on Twitch. 17,000 of those folks who are live streaming are actually revenue generating. And that Twitch's parent company was so unsuccessful that now the entire company is pretty much owned by Twitch and under the Twitch brand, which is owned by Amazon, because Amazon owns pretty much most of the world at this point. And that's what I learned today.
I think is a good idea and approve of.
We do not. I think that Amazon is absolutely evil and horrible, and that we really should break it up like we did the phone company back in the day.
So Bart is going to go for the ditch digging job, the new ditch digging jobs in the future, where he cleans the robots that dig ditches. That's his job. That's his new job, because all jobs are Amazon jobs.
All right, so Bart, continue on. Like, explain, like, when you start Googling about what you need to know about all of this, you learned some that Amazon's acquired Twitch, and what else have you learned?
I've learned that that it's pretty easy to set up a Twitch account and to view things on Twitch. Yes. I have also learned that actually broadcasting on Twitch turns out to be a much more complicated endeavor. But that you can, for instance, you can create a Twitch account and you can follow other Twitchers. Are they called Twitchers? Do we call them Twitchers?
I don't think you call them Twitterers. Maybe they're Tweeters.
Well, you call them tweeps, and tweeps was big for a while. I don't know if anybody uses that term anymore. But I don't know what you call the Twitchers, but we'll go with Twitchers. So the Twitchers can Twitch each other and instant message each other and do those sorts of things. So it has now social networking components to it. And apparently there's lots of really good things happening on Twitch. Much of it is devoted to video games and live streaming of video games, because apparently people like to watch other people play the video games. They watch each other play the video games, right? This is what the kids tell me. And then
Marshman says, I'd love to say that watching older folks try and learn Twitch is fucking great.
Older folks, is that how Marshman is referring to us?
I think he could be our child, Bart. We're that old.
I think that older is a relative term. Some of us don't think of ourselves as older. We think of ourselves as young but mature.
Oh, and he has another comment that this is what I was going to say, but I wasn't sure. I think I might be at that like precipice of being too old to get this stuff.
You're a baby.
You're this close. You're this close, Maxwell.
I know. They're called streamers, which I figured was the case. So you can stream on a bunch of different platforms, but they're streamers.
They're streamers. But this is different than stream, because stream is its own thing, correct? Isn't there something called stream?
No, that's Steam.
Steam.
This is social media at the old folks' home now, Bart. I mean,
tell me what. There's. I was close. I was one consonant away from being completely correct.
And one of the things that we want to talk about are like what happens. So in order for you to use Twitch, so with SPSM, we are using multiple platforms every week to produce the show for you. So we're using Google Hangouts, we're using YouTube, we're using Facebook, we're using Twitter, we're using Hootsuite, we're using Storify, we're using WordPress, and we're using hash tracking, and we're using Canva. So so every week when I'm on 9 separate platforms to sort of create something for you. And the thing that's supposed to be great about Twitch is you can sort of hop on and do a bunch of things from one platform and have analytics, a bunch of things. And we're going to talk about what sort of drove our decision to make the change, because we had been talking about the need to do that and not having a solution for about a year. It turns out that you've got to stream from another app and sort of connect it to Twitch. And there's something called a streaming key, like a stream key, that's apparently super secret and you don't want it to get out. Like it's like your bank account number for whatever reason. Maxwell probably knows. Gaming Daddy and Betty Page probably know. But I couldn't. So I'm getting on Twitch and I'm trying to follow the directions. Like I've Googled what the directions are, and I can't fucking find anything. So like, you know, it turns out that there are menus that have really similar labels, but they're in different orientations, accessed from different tabs. And so like you could be in the wrong place and not really know it. Then you have to download another app. And so then there was this moment when it became really clear that the only app that has a really good user experience, like the uninitiated can use this app to stream with Twitch, which is Bebo. B-E-B-O, right? Which sounds like a Star Wars character, is only can be downloaded and used on Windows hardware. So I put out an AP to all of my SPSM production crew. Does anyone have a Windows machine? And what did Bart? What did you say?
We're all Apples.
Like because we've all converted to using Apple machines, and so of course. Bebo is still in like a beta, and it has not released a Mac version yet. And so of course we can't make that work. So I go to try to use something called OBS, which is for Open Broadcasting System, and it's open software for broadcasting. And Twitch will work with OBS, and it is I'm sure intuitive and easy for people that understand broadcasting and streaming, but there were all these controls. It was fairly complex. I didn't understand what was going on. So I spent about 2 different days, like afternoons, where I like logged in and screwed with it till I finally did figure out how to stream something. And I think I started and stopped a live stream and did a recording, but it was a black screen with a little green wiggly line for my voice. And that was all I could do. Yeah, it's a little green wiggly line. It's exactly what it was. And so hopefully I have no followers and nobody saw that. Like I was, and I really hope the camera was not working at that moment in my life, but I couldn't figure it out. And we've been streaming now for how many years? Since what, 2015, Tony?
5?
No, longer than that. 2014, 2013. Didn't you start in 2013?
No, we started in 2013.
No, we didn't do video then. We just did text way back when, those days with the
yeah, absolutely.
Morse code. It was all Morse code. Twitter was all Morse code then.
Yeah. This is a Twitch beginner's guide. I'm lost already. You're so validating, Bart. And
did you look at the Twitch beginner's guide? I took one link at the Twitch beginner's guide and I said, "Oh hell no."
Well, Chris, have you seen it? Youth mental health. What do we think of when we hear Twitch? Oh my gosh, that's so you think you can dance Twitch. He is great, isn't he? Okay, I am old. I totally love that. That was like 10 years ago. That was like a decade old television Twitch, who is, by the way, a remarkable dancer on So You Think You Can Dance. So I know this is old people, Marshman, talking about Twitch. The manual is difficult.
Just talk about old reality shows we liked. That could be the show.
I'm being Youth Mental Health Action Group. I'm just responding.
Does anybody remember The Real World?
I love The Real World. I was a season 2er. I didn't do season 1. Was Puck in season 2? Is that right? Puck was season 2. Right. Is that right?
I believe you're correct.
Can we all agree that Road Rules was 10 times better than Real World?
I never saw Road Rules.
I don't think we can agree.
You fuck.
But I can definitely.
I'm too old for that.
Affirm.
I don't think MTV was a thing anymore, was it?
I don't know why this is, but at the gym there's this show, like it's salmon fishing, and they're like cutting it and they're hitting it with this plug, and then they're looking at the plug of fish meat to determine how much the fish is worth. And I don't understand. It's always on at the gym and people are watching it, but apparently it's kill a fish, plug a fish, commercialize a fish, TV nonstop. So whatever that is.
That's going to be in the sizzle reel, kids.
So you've been watching some sort of fish processing? What gym is this?
Okay, back to the ranch.
Do they make you sell some stuff for export while you're there?
Marshall's commenting is on point tonight. It's like watching a hedgehog try and get its head unstuck from a paper tube. Nailed it.
Great video. It's a great video.
Here's what I'm going to say. We have been doing social media only 5 years, and we have very different setups. I don't think we've kept the setup for more than a year without having to update it in some way. Since then, a lot of the platforms that we have been using have aged in various ways. Twitter locks you out now at the drop of a hat. YouTube, YouTube turned off our ability to live stream for 6 months because auto moderated the way that I had done a title on something and said that we had violated community rules, which we had not. And I put in an appeal, couldn't get it looked at, couldn't get it done. And YouTube, of course, demonetized and really, like a lot of people who were content producers for YouTube changed its monetization rules without really talking with its users. Twitter, now Twitter has all these moderation issues because of bots. We're going to talk about my fear that SPSM's got bots. Tony says we're not infested with bots yet. I don't know. But we have to update. And the thing is that it's really hard. In academia, you can write a paper very, very similar in format and style guide to the way that we were writing papers when I was in graduate school back in like 1997. So you could be submitting a paper for publication and the formatting is relatively similar. You aren't disseminating white papers or you aren't creating academic content with all new production rules and whole new methods and new technologies. But with social media, if you want to disseminate things, one of the sides to this, and there is a downside, which is new adoption costs. And the older you get, the harder that is. And that is why social media is sort of a young person's production game, because as you get older, it really does get hard to do. I know, Anne Marie, define older, you say, with steel in your eye, but come on. I mean, we know what that means. It means more years versus less years. So
tell us more about that.
Yes.
Okay, about counting. I mean,
right. So the situation is that we've had actually several platforms change in terms of their utility for the functions that we need them to serve in order for us to use them for the purposes of suicide prevention, and especially to communicate with our community. Bart, how often are you getting locked out of Twitter these days?
I almost never.
Really?
No, I rarely, but it knows me. So I tweet. I don't know how many times I tweet a day, but I tweet a lot. So I have to do like 200 tweets in an hour to get blocked. I've noticed that if I use the SPSM account, it like bounces me instantly. So clearly it pays attention to your historical your history. And for me, I tweet constantly all day long. So for whatever reason, unless I'm at a conference or we've got a show that's happened with the tweets and I'm re-arting everything, then I don't typically get blocked. So. Was that the wrong answer?
No,
I get every day. It's a daily event, April. Sometimes I open Twitter, I go to tweet something, and I'm blocked, and I'm stuck, and I'm just locked out for days.
So
this is our best show. This is literally our best show ever.
I don't know what she wants, Tony. What does she want, Tony?
No,
how do we support her in
the
this?
sizzle reel, okay, guys? Can we
huddle
say this in success?
So
let's have a huddle. Can we have a huddle?
If you want to use it for conference tweeting, so if you have periods where you just want to share a few podcasts or you want to retweet something or share a meme, but then you want to go in and live tweet and do high velocity tweeting, like you want to do a chat or something like that, where you want to use it to sort of converge and have a community conversation. Twitter's no longer a good. You need to sort of be constantly using it in a really specific way, or you get auto-moderated and you get your account shut down, and it's a pain in the ass to reopen. And we used to get put in Twitter jail in conferences, and Twitter support would let us out, but now it's just they've auto-moderated that, so it's just a pain. Finally, Storify is shutting down in like 6 weeks, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's like middle of May. Storify is getting shut down. And we were beta users. So using Storify to curate things, I was a beta user of Storify back in 2012, 2011, I think. And we're now 7 years later, and it's gone from beta use to it is a retired social media platform. Well, it's a really good curation platform, and it curates tweets and curates Instagrams and curates links so that I can take a bunch of things around a topic, a conversation, an event, and I can put them all in sort of one in one place, so you can see the tweets, see the live show, see what the stats were, and it sort of allows us to publish things like sort of a little scrapbook or a little, you know, keepsake box with sort of everything in it around a topic or an event. Well, that's closing down too. And additionally, it kind of does suck. A lot of you do complain about having the YouTube up and then having to go to Twitter, and it's hard for you to use on your phones, so that you're having to keep separate windows open. And here's the deal. Tony, can you explain? Because I only barely understood. But what's supposed to be great about using Twitch is that it's like different CPU usage rather than having multiple windows open or multiple apps open. Something I don't know. Tony, explain.
I think that honestly, if you want me, do you want to be honest, or you want me to play along?
Be honest. Explain.
I think that our transition, the potential transition to Twitch for our community could be a little rough, because it is not designed for the tech-averse nor the tech. What is trepidation? What's the trepidatious?
Tech anxious.
I would never label someone as anxious. I don't.
You pretty much do that all day, like 20 times a day.
So the point of this story is that this is a platform that's new and it's evolving, and it is driven by youth. Uh-oh.
So say more.
It could be that the median age of suicidology could be slightly different than the core users of Twitch.
Yes. So,
and not to be ageist, because I'm sure that there are individuals, many of which are doing just fine on Twitch. But the core, that old Gaussian distribution, the ones in the middle, are young people.
And Amazon has acquired it and added a bunch of functionality, so we'll be able to, with one platform, manage our Twitter, to push out notices to the community, have chats, and stream.
Well, and then there's the punchline to this, and that is, as it evolves, there's a strong likelihood, because of this very strong, very engaged user base, that this will be the only game in town that isn't YouTube. So there will be YouTube and there will be Twitch, and that could be it. Now there's disruption all the time. So somebody could be in their garage right now making the thing that kicks all these people off the top.
Intergalactic cable.
Absolutely. Anything could happen. But Twitch has a giant user base and they're very engaged. And that's a big deal. That's a big indicator of success.
This has a bunch of implications for a lot of the SPSMers in our community who we've really taught to do things like live tweets. So they've really worked the last couple of years to be very skilled in that, how to curate on Storify. We've helped people live stream using Google Hangouts with YouTube. And of course, that functionality has changed and declined over time. And so everyone's invested some time learning the skill. And so people have even been asking us about the social media team at AAS. And I'm like, you know, before I sort of knew what that looked like, what happened with sort of the first social media team was a bunch of us were on Twitter at a medical conference, and we realized that we could live tweet, and I realized that we could curate things and make sort of a thing, and we started behaving like as a team, you know, gathering content live, and really, you know, that was back in, I want to say 2011. And or 2012, but it was a few years back. And so now we've got people who really feel like we've nailed it. We have a skill. Well, that's just, I mean, Storify is going to be dead almost as soon as AAS is over. So getting a bunch of people to invest time in curating something on a platform that's not going to last, like, we shouldn't do that. We should be getting everybody ready for the next platform. But what that means for us is that I have to learn something new. And so does every member of our production team. And you guys will have to access things differently. And we'll have to get you ready to do that by next fall.
I'd like to hear what Chris thinks about the future of platforms, like for advocacy. Like, I think, because this is a really tough question. because the standards and practices inside crisis prevention and inside suicide prevention, I'm going to go ahead and say move a little slower than than technology. Chris Maxwell.
I am offended that you would imply that we have a problem keeping up. It's something that we've been doing. I mean, SPSM has been doing for years. But what I think Twitch, I mean, Twitch might be around in 5 years. I mean, if it is, it's going to look very different. Kind of like when we look at the progression of what Facebook looked like, and then when they started getting ads, and when they left the exclusivity of college campuses, and as their user base changed, their features started to change. What they needed to include for all of the people that are now jumping on started to change. Snapchat, right? They just changed their whole format, pissed a fucking lot of people off.
Yes.
And a lot of the younger
stock price.
Right. And a lot of the younger
Jenner complains once.
Boom. Yeah. So and the whole idea with a lot of these, and again, it goes back to what the hell is the audience that we're trying to reach. Obviously, I think Twitch is going to be a good move for now, based on the convenience of the features that it provides and the comprehensive integrative nature of the software. But we're going to have to, like Tony was saying, we're going to have to kind of move people in as we can. Feed them like baby birds, because we know it's not an easy transition. It's not an easy transition for us. So
yeah, like we haven't learned it yet, and we're already thinking about that we're going to learn it, and we're going to have to teach everyone else like what we think the use case is, right?
Yeah, and so like even going back to the Snapchat analogy, like they were mostly populated by groups of people, younger groups of people who were using Snapchat specifically because they knew that their parents couldn't figure out how to use it, or couldn't figure out the utility of it. That was.
Did we have a freeze up on Chris?
Chris,
please tell me Tony's face didn't freeze that way.
No, Tony's with us.
Tony just goes like this and freezes. Okay, so Tony, tell us where you think Chris is going with that.
I wouldn't dare. Bart Andrews.
Well, I think one of the points that Chris is getting at is that one of the things that makes certain platforms attractive to younger folks is that older folks don't know how to use it. And that, in fact, one of the things that we're seeing with technology platforms is that we've got this escalating cycle of complexity. And here's, what did somebody just say to me? This was really interesting. Complexity, I'm trying to think of the right term, but complexity is a subsidy. That, in fact, by adding complexity, you are subsidizing groups that have the ability or the capacity to take on that complexity, or the knowledge to take on that complexity. And so we've got a challenge in that we're trying to reach across a bunch of different demographics. So one of the roles that SPS can play is kind of be this bridge. So if we're talking about social capital, we can have a bridging effect so that we can connect different groups of people. But that means that we've got to stay cutting edge, or at least, I don't know, cutting edges, but we have to at least stay informed and current. And I think it's pretty clear at this point that our current format with the YouTube and Twitter is not cutting edge anymore. It was super exciting. But if
back
we
in 2013 when we started, right?
So, but I think that we need to progress. I think Twitch is probably going to be where it's at for a few years. Things will start moving on. And I'm not good at guessing what's going to happen next type stuff with technology. So I'm not gonna try, but it's pretty clear that what I am comfortable with saying is that things are going to continue to change. And that platforms will continue to change, and that one of the things that SPSM is going to have to do is adapt to those changes and be the bridge between groups that aren't going to be as aware or as savvy with some of this newer stuff. So we'll have to get savvy and then help other people get savvy, and then it'll change, and we'll do the same thing again and again and again. Like in
I think this might blow your mind. I just looked it up. YouTube was founded in February of 2005.
Wow.
Jiminy Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
When did Amazon? When did Google get it?
Google acquires it. Oh boy. It was their largest acquisition of 2006.
Oh, they jumped right on it.
Yeah,
Boy,
they
they didn't wait long at all.
bought it the next year. So what a fascinating thing that is. That's the maturity of YouTube and what's happened with YouTube has all happened in such a short period of time.
I would make the case that, in fact, Google owning it reduced innovation, and that if Google hadn't monopolized it, that in fact we'd have lots of more interesting options than we do today. In fact, when you stop and think about it, the fact that there's so limited options for this sort of thing is to Matt Stoller. Follow Matt Stoller, everybody, about how monopolization of technology reduces innovation. And so we have these large platforms that dominate. And look what happened to Snapchat. Snapchat is being pushed over by Facebook, and they're trying to make changes to get up to speed. And those changes completely have blown up on their face as they try to keep up with these larger monopolies, and they can't do it. Right?
So Marshman asked a really good question, which he says, how does the convenience of these platforms and the importance of them being convenient and functional and sort of current, is that outweighed by the fact that we have built-in audiences on these older, like more matured platforms? And so I have a response to Marshman about that, which is, first of all, the platforms like Google Hangouts has lost a ton of its functionality that it had and it's going to go away, and we're going to have to learn this anyway. So you can't freeze time. So the audience is on Twitter now, or it's on YouTube now, but Twitter's making it harder for the audience to be there. It just is. So we need to get ready. Now, does all of suicide prevention, when they're doing messages to the general public, need to move to Twitch today? No, they're still going to get a lot of organic engagement through Facebook, Twitter, and some of the mainstream platforms. What's important is for professionals who are interested in messaging in these platforms and like how suicide as a public health issue intersects with these platforms, it's important for us to be where things are going. Some of us, not all of us, but some of us, to talk to each other and get everybody moving along that direction, just so that we can stay engaged with the public. So much about suicide prevention is about helping the public understand this as a healthcare issue, and also getting innovators talking in innovative ways, which is what SPSM is about. That's why we're migrating, and we are telling other organizations, we think you should get ready for this. Like as soon as we sort of have an idea where things are going, it's time to start getting ready to go there. And I just blew my load on my final thought at 9:36. But I mean, that's really why we're doing this. When we started SPSM, there were just a dozen of us tweeting at the conference, and in a few years we were having hashtags be trending tags, SPSM being a trending tag, and AAS, whatever the conference tag, being a trending tag. So we know.
And then Twitter grew.
What?
And then Twitter grew.
And then Twitter grew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know how to build engagement within our community. We really do. We have a great model for teaching each other and keeping each other current. So the audience will move. It's our job to get the audience ready. Does that make sense? Chris spends a bit of time thinking about platforms and messaging, because now that's his job. Well, and it was before, right?
Yeah. And that is actually what I was just thinking about, and I've thought about this before. It goes back to what we talked about last week with Bo, is that if we're moving to Twitch, and if we're encouraging other people to move to Twitch, as of right now, it has a huge gaming component. It's populated by a lot of people who are gamers. So it's going to be potentially helpful for us as an industry to start paying attention to gaming and gamers' mental health, and being able and ready to talk about that in terms that will be familiar and easy for them to understand, that will engage them. Otherwise, we're going to be the weird fish in the pond of gamers. So we're going to have to pay attention.
Fish is
Weird
what
pond fish.
The bottom line is about pond fish.
We're going to be the show that Bart watches.
Can someone
at
please
the
name
channel.
that?
So just keeping that. Oh, that's going to be great.
Keep going, Chris.
We're gonna have to be mindful of that. And the other part of this too is that because people will potentially find us through other gaming channels or through gaming channels, that's just going to happen by accident enough times where it's going to be really helpful to have a pitch down and to have your elevator talk down, and people are going to be like, "What is this?" Here it is. We're doing suicide prevention on Twitch. Just a lot to keep in mind.
And I think we talked about, Bart and I were so lucky to get to present together in Denver at Elevate the Convo. Denver is a magic place where we all seem to get to pair up in different ways. And we were talking about like red flags that you're having the wrong conversation. And one of them is talking about the importance of doing what's comfortable instead of doing what's current. And so this is really comfortable what we're doing. And I did have to abandon ship because by 7 o'clock last night, I just hadn't figured it out. So we had, the show, I couldn't figure out how we could broadcast on Twitch TV, and I would have sent a link out. And who here on the Twitter chat remembers Blab? It's not like we haven't abandoned platforms temporarily. And Bart, you liked Blab.
I liked Blab. Blab was the Brady Bunch of platforms, right, where we had 4 squares and people could pop in and out of Blab. Yeah. I think that Blab didn't last very long. Did Blab's shelf life was like did it even last a year?
No, it didn't even last a year, man.
It didn't even last a year. We found that we found that there was some it didn't keep up with the bandwidth really well. It was clunky, right? So the interface was really clunky, not very smooth. But Blab was fun because you could have people pop in and out, and there was a chat screen over to the right that people could use. The chat screen worked better than the Hangout chat screen does, that's for sure. But I liked Blab, but it was gone, and it was gone in a heartbeat, right? It was like boom, just disappeared. And it's interesting to me that live streaming on Twitter is like I just sent out an article about staying ahead of the curve, the 3 things to look out for, and if you want to stay up to date on social media. And they live streaming on Facebook and Twitter is getting bigger and bigger. But what live streaming on Twitter doesn't let you do is do a chat like this, where you can have a bunch of people in remote locations join on the same feed, which is really interesting that they haven't found a way to make that work. What I have a feeling is going to happen, since I was just talking with some programmers the other day, avatar-based kind of augmented reality someday, not that long in the future, we're going to have an SPSM avatar that will literally be able to kind of connect you and walk you through where things are happening or doing, which is, I think, where things will end up going, where you'll have these aids, you'll have these interactive online aids that will kind of help you connect to these different things. And SPSM, we're going to have an avatar, folks, and it's going to be there to help you. It's going to watch you sleep. It's going to want your bank information as well. So stay tuned.
The term of art is intelligent user agents.
Intelligent user agent?
Yeah, they're coming.
In my pants.
They're already here.
Also known as Clippy.
They're already here.
But a better version. Clippy was not intelligent.
Yeah. If this turns out to be the thing, somebody needs to send those Clippy people some flowers, because they've taken an endless amount of trouble for Clippy. Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Everyone knows what the Clippy joke is. What?
Did you turn Clippy off? Did everybody turn Clippy off?
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't always figure out how to turn Clippy off.
Yeah. That's what she said.
I'm that dope. Like platform fatigue is real. It's hard to, I remember having to learn Microsoft Word and WordPerfect and fucking with both of them and hating it. Does anybody even use WordPerfect anymore?
Well, WordPerfect got pushed out because of Microsoft's monopoly, and WordPerfect actually lost a lawsuit and basically just got shut down by Windows. So it was clear, total flipping monopolization of platforms that shut down WordPerfect.
Did you guys see what Grace Durbin just tweeted out?
No.
Twitch has an awesome resource page for users. Twitch cares if you feel like you're struggling or if you encountered someone you believe might self-harm or suicidal. It has some things to do. So even though they're a relatively young platform, some of these younger platforms are learning earlier to build in mental health and suicide prevention resources into their platform.
Yeah, look at that. Sweet. Excellent find, Grace.
Yeah, way to go on that one. Oh, Marshall says Marshman's going to be there, be at AAS, and he says he's going to be staying at his is a programmer. The buddy's friend's house he's staying at is going to be a programmer, so that's really cool. We will figure this out. By the way, we got everyone on Twitter and live tweeting, and now, you know, we got everybody doing this, so now we just have to get everybody doing anything. And so we're going to have to figure that out. So the last 15 minutes, what I had planned for us to talk about are what I think the essential sort of underlying functions are for doing these sorts of things. So it doesn't matter what platform you're using, but the things that you need to be doing. So number one, I think that you need to be able to relatively quickly stream out new expert content, whether it is a video stream or a text-based chat. You need to be able to have new experts talking about new ideas, and you need to be able, the platform needs to be able to allow you to do that at a distance. So the great thing about SPSM is we've been able to reach experts literally all over the world to share with us expert ideas and to help us change thinking quickly so that we can adopt new ideas or new solutions sort of as they're happening. So for SPSM, that's a really important thing. So like streaming from one location may not be sufficient. So when we'll have to figure that out with Twitch, like what streaming things can allow us, like Blab, to stream multiple people, because I don't want to be without Bart and Chris and Tony. I just don't want to do a show without them. I don't think it's as good of a show. I don't want to be without Stack Up, or I don't want to be without Craig Bryant, or I don't want to, I don't want to be without Amanda Towler, whoever, like, pick a person. Like, we've had all these great people who have enriched our community. In order for us to do that, we need to do that. I think that's some of the important functions. I'm going to let Bart, Chris, Tony each pick what you guys think is an important function that no matter what platform we need to be able to do. That's part of the SPSM sort of need or brand. Bart, I see it in your face.
You saw something different than what was present, but I'll go ahead and roll with the optimism. Because I am and deep in my heart, I'm an optimist. I see the good in people. I see the good in the future. And I think some things that SPSM will have to continue to do is to provide a central location where people can access and gather information and share information and connect with one another around suicide prevention. So I think one of the things, regardless of what platform we are on, we'll need to continue to tag and connect on older platforms, right? So that people, so that we can continue to reach out people and bring people in to these newer areas. So it's like a web.
Older. Let's call them mature.
Yeah, you could use that word. Sure. Mature platform sounds
sophisticated. How about sophisticated?
Mature platforms I'd like to use.
Gotcha.
Right. So
I hear you. I heard that.
Yeah, you know where I'm going. So I think that's get April's face. That was awesome.
Yeah. Best show ever. Okay. Just ignore that, everyone. That's for the sizzle reel. So, go ahead.
I've said all I have to say.
All right. So, Chris, what do you think? Functions that our platforms or whatever tech solutions we have need to support?
Again, it goes back to what, who we're trying to talk to, who we're trying to access. And I think, and it sounds like Twitch is going to be able to provide this, but what we've seen over and over again when we're looking at our numbers from our shows is that the ones that do the best, the ones that connect best with the people are with you guys, are the ones where we can get your immediate feedback, where we can interact with you and we can answer questions. The show is driven by you all anyway. But when we have that direct access to you guys while we're streaming, those are the ones that are better for you. It seems like you guys get more out of it. And so making sure that that's a part of what we have. So like Facebook Live kind of does that, but you have to invest in some other platforms to be able to broadcast with more than one person. And then even then it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Plus, you're on Facebook. Is that where we want to be? So then, if we look at Twitch, it sounds like Twitch has this commenting capability. We can read these things in real time, and we can react and interact.
And Elvis says we can definitely do multiple streams sort of simultaneously and have a Discord channel, which I think is awesome. I think Discord is perfect for SPSM. So I think that's great. It also has the chat functionality in the platform. So if you're going and watching the chats right there, so you could download to be able to, in one platform, both watch and participate in the conversation instead of shifting between where you watch and where you type. I think that's probably a very important for our community. Tony, do you have any comments on the revival of Friendster?
The revival of Friendster.
Travis Atkinson is saying we can re-engage the Friendster community.
I have no idea. I'm missing the context. I'm missing context. I need more context.
I think that was the tongue-in-cheek about mature platforms.
Oh my goodness. Oh, poor Friendster. How about ICQ? Anybody but me remember ICQ out there?
I remember ICQ.
Oh, look there. Chris does. Chris.
What dirty things were you up to, Chris?
Remember the noise it used to make. It was quite.
Can you speak to what, like, hash tracking and sort of the difficulty of us doing analytics and because I think maybe that's something that's been largely your part of the. I mean, it's fallen squarely on your shoulders. The need for measurement and analytics. I really think that our place is bridging this gap. So largely what we do is we bridge. We took hold of two live wires and we just stand there and let the current go. And we just come back every week and try to make sure that it keeps flowing. The point being that the suicide and crisis prevention community is in the United States, approximately 2,000 people. That's all of AAS. That's everybody involved in AAS. And so we're trying to bridge the gap between these 2,000 people and all of technology and new media. And so that gap is tough. Our audience is the audience that bridges the gap between these two industries. So they're the ones, you guys, OU Twitterers are the OU tweeps. You're the ones that represent the most technology forward people in crisis prevention right now. That's it. That you're everybody. And so it's a small profession trying to encounter a really large public health need. And the profession by and large has not been fast or early adopters. They've been late, reluctant adopters, and a bunch of you've come along really quickly. So I think there's a lot of reason for us to be hopeful. And I love that Elvis and Stephanie have been on the Twitter chat tonight saying, we will help you guys.
Oh,
we will get you
thanks,
and rolling.
They're
like, if we can totally in 9 months figure out how to do crisis intervention on a brand new platform, we can just teach you how to download an app and use it.
Right.
Which, by the way, they're not wrong. In 9 months, they figured out crisis intervention from doing game streaming. So surely we can figure out doing streaming, right? Like we can go the other direction. Right, Bart? You have such a weird face. I don't know what you're doing.
I just feel like Elvis and Stephanie are just patronizing us just a little bit. I think just the pad ones. Okay, look, we're paying attention to what's going on out there, and these whippersnappers with their fancy Twitches and their multi-streams and all their stuff. No, it's fine. I'm not insecure about this. I'm comfortable with my twitchiness. Okay, it's fine. I don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about any of this anyway. There, I said it.
And are you taking your?
I'm just waiting for Bart to murder me, which is you got us on Twitter, you got me on YouTube, you got whatever, and I like. And so now, of course, now we're moving to this other platform, and you're like, "Fuck you, Foreman." Look at that face. But don't worry, Twitter and Twitch connect to each other, so you can it'll all work out, right? Chris, what are you doing back there, Chris?
Hiding.
Hiding.
He can't throw something at us through the screen. I don't think that's what a Discord channel is.
He's got self-camping glow, I think, is what I would say. Right? He's got that. He's self-camped and he's glowing.
You know, one of the things that I do want to talk about before we get to final thoughts is that we also is about getting everybody into one channel. So we've been sort of the last few weeks sort of leaking that once Elvis and Stephanie really talked to us about all the different developments in Twitch, that there were solutions to things that I was like, we can't switch yet because there isn't anything that does these functions that I need done. And Twitch really has gotten them, you know, more functional. That's where we're moving. As soon as it was sort of there, they built it and we're coming, right? But one of the functions was that would be new is that we would be able to broadcast the content of all of you. So what SPSM has done is it's created a bunch of people who are all doing content in different mediums, podcasts, Facebook Live. They're streaming things in various ways, but all of you are blogging, potting. You're doing all the things. And so now a lot of our audience are content creators in their own right. Twitch means that we would have a channel where 24/7 we could be broadcasting the content of our community. So that if you want to put together an hour show a week, and there's 20 of us that want to do that, that's totally fine. There are plenty of hours in the week for there to be one broadcast sort of location where all of the content our community members make can live and be pushed out. And I think that's really, really valuable. We've been trying all sorts of ways, like Twitter hashtags, thunderclaps, things like that, to get everybody working together to amplify signal messaging. Well, Twitch is just one more way. Like, we can create a station where other people can come, and I think auto hosts, like, help me out with this, Chris and Tony, and maybe Bart, but you can host other people's content on your show. So like other people could choose to be like, this hour we're going to have the SPSM message of the week, or this hour somebody's talking about an innovation that makes sense for our community.
I think the important central point here is that as these broadcast platforms mature, these platforms are taking on the same features of national broadcasting systems. Mm-hmm. So television stations broadcast content from all, late night movies, to syndicated television shows, to their own local news program that they produce themselves, to network television that comes from the network of which they are members. This is the history of broadcast media going back to radio. And these platforms are gradually taking on all of those features and more, in that you can have asynchronous and synchronous connections with your audience individually. That's a big innovation.
And I feel like so many of you are subject matter experts who are now content production experts. It would be a privilege to be able to host really clever, creative content so that anybody outside of our community who wants a particular brand of what our community does, like, they can find it all and we can better share it. I have a feeling like it's going to be easier to do. And the SPSM hashtag's gotten so big that, like, when you're posting something in the Twitter stream, like, it can fly by really fast. Like, Bart, Bart, Tony, Chris, do you guys have a sense of how many tweets are shared every day with the SPSM hashtag?
At least 5. At least 5. A minimum of 5. Minimum of 5. And yeah,
I think Tony's right. I think there's ample evidence to suggest that Tony's guess of the low end of SPSM tweets per day is rock solid. So it really depends. Sometimes people are really hitting the hashtag, and we all know what that means. And then there's other times when there's less activity. But don't we ran metrics for the conference, right? we had that huge number at the conference. You presented that data, April. Like how many?
We're over 1 billion. We're
over 1 billion. So it's huge. I think the thing I'm most excited about with Twitch is just what you were talking about, particularly multiple streams, and that we could actually think about, for those, I don't know if anybody was here, but remember when we did the videos, and we tried to show different videos, and it was such a mess to try to coordinate that. We couldn't show, so to be able to actually show picture-in-picture stuff, or actually show what we're looking at, or to show our live Twitter feed and things people are commenting on, and comment on the actual Twitter stream so everybody can see what's going on.
Yeah.
The ability to pop up and show memes or videos and other content and actually have conversations about that would be absolutely amazing. So I think that this is the right move. I'm a little nervous because you have to learn something new, but I think it's clearly time that we experimented, especially if April does all of the work. I'm very comfortable with it.
Me too.
To the extent that I have to do anything, I'm less comfortable.
That's
but I think that's just being transparent about that.
You guys, Jason Hitchcock, who is one of the co-founders and head of partnerships at Bebo, tweeted at us, and he says and he liked the tweet that Elvis did about how he's used OBS at Well, so he can help guide us through that process. So apparently somebody from Bebo Partnerships is watching us or is paying attention to tweets. So Elvis, someone, if you can be like, please Bebo, let us know roughly when you're going to have a Mac app out. We really would prefer to use Bebo if we can, because OBS is killing me. It's eating my lunch.
Guess who's going to learn to dual boot? Anybody guess who's going to learn to dual boot?
Oh boy.
Not me.
Was that with my mouth and my butt at the same time?
Send her through boot camp, Tony.
That was a solid gag.
What does dual boot mean?
Oh God.
Good night, everybody. You've wasted another hour with SPSM.
Jason with Bebo says they're going to do a Mac client. Jason, as soon as you can, we need your help. Everybody,
where are you seeing these tweets from Jason?
It doesn't have the SPSM hashtag. It's just replying but without the hashtag. So it's in my replies. So thank you, Elvis. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Marshman. Thank you, Kate Gordon and Geek Therapy, all these people who are helping us through our relationships stay current. So that's my big one, which is relationships work. They help you know what your community needs, and they help you get skills so that you can adopt things as fast as you need to. And in the end, it really is about connections and relationships with others. It's the social aspect of media that is how we make these transformations happen. Bart Andrews, final thoughts.
Final thought, find me on Twitch. My Twitch handle is Bebo Baggins. Thank you, everybody.
I double dog dare you to do that. Chris Maxwell.
I'm actually just really excited about the idea of having content from multiple people, creating an ongoing channel. I mean, we could essentially have the outdoors channel of suicide prevention, or like NRA TV, but for suicide prevention. Like, it really could be. No one's going to react to that.
I think there should be some fishing. I think we definitely need to get some fishing.
We could probably do.
We got to do a cooking show.
I'm like a cooking show. I'm thinking the man therapy fishing, where you have Ron fishing
out on a bass boat and one of those hats with the lures on it.
Build a fire.
That's what I'm looking for.
A self-camping Chris show. Build a fire with Chris. Suicide
prevention
campfire. Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
It would be like Marco Polo, but for everyone.
Marco Polo, but for everybody.
Deep sea fishing with Paul Quinnett. I'd love to see that.
That would be awesome.
Somebody put that on the listserv right now.
I want to see it so bad.
Final thoughts, Tony Wood.
Oh, I think you've heard enough from me. I think it's a brilliant thing to surge forward into new technology and continue to innovate as best we can to reach the rest of social media with these very important messages. And I don't know what you're talking about, but you're talking about something.
Where I call you whining and crying and screaming.
That's the best.
All right, it's been one more evening. You're with us. You've been with us again. If you can figure out Twitch TV, if you already understand, hit me up. We're going to be learning that in the next couple of months. We are moving there. You can check out the SPSM chat, Twitch TV, and Doc Foreman's on Twitch TV channels, but we don't have stuff up yet. Doesn't mean you can't start a channel or make an account and follow us and all the things. And while you're there, do go see Geek Therapy, and please do go see stackup.org, who are SPSM alums. Connect with their channels today, and we will see you at AAS, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.